Hello, this is AnlineOffline. Today we have a lot of news to cover this past month, on top of the Season 3 patch notes for COD Mobile 2025. First, Cold War's Quick 6 has gotten a noticeable buff to its 4-shot ranges and a minor buff to its bloom. 2019's AMAX has received some hefty buffs. It too got a noticeable buff to its 4 and 5-shot ranges. The forearm multipliers now match the rest of its arms and stomach, allowing for a more reliable potential time to kill in its second and final range. Interestingly, the gunner's stock barrel now increases range. The bicep multiplier when using M67 will now match its forearms and chest, thus reducing inconsistencies when 2-tapping in its second range. Black Ops 4's Maddox has gotten a minor buff to its range values. Echo Fire will no longer hurt your bicep multipliers. It's still very demanding to extend its 2 burst that far, but I suppose it's better than nothing. The forearm multipliers on Black Ops 2's Type 25 now match its chest and stomach. This will improve its chances of achieving its potential time to kill in both base and with stopping power. Cold War's FFAR got a minor buff at mid-range. It's not much even with the Task Force barrel. The forearm multipliers on Black Ops 3's ICR were increased to 10% extra damage. This will help its 3-shot potential in its first range if you mix in 1 shot to the head or chest. This is even more useful at extending its 4-shot potential at long range. Both of the mag attachments for 2019's FR556 were buffed, and it can now carry more than 40 rounds per mag. Black Ops 4's MX9 now has slightly improved chest and bicep multipliers. I don't imagine it amounting to much even with large caliber, but at least it got a bloom buff. The OWC foregrip on Black Ops 2's PDW is not a popular attachment, but it has been buffed. It won't hurt your mobility as much anymore. It was supposed to get a very minor nerf to its horizontal recoil, but I suppose the devs realized just how insignificant it would have been. Modern Warfare 2's EBR got a buff to its first range so it can one-shot to the chest and arms a little further. However, it's still not really meant for quickscoping. 2019's CAR, SPR, and Mark II will now deal extra headshot damage in BR. Nothing in multiplayer as they can already one-shot to the head. Like the XM4, the Mythic Peacekeeper has gotten new iron sights. Same will be expected for the AS Val and Holger at a later time. The Tundra will have a Mythic as well. And after all these years, the 1911 has finally gotten Akimbo. From the looks of it, it's an intermediate between the Akimbo Deagle and Akimbo Dobra. The former deals high damage, but can't hit anything. The latter is the opposite, deals low damage, but is very accurate. Moving on to operator skills, Control Field is active for much longer. 4 streaks, this should sound like a nerf, but you'll now walk slower when carrying a Guardian. The Flame Knot now has 400 HP and isn't much of a threat outside of shipment. Even then, it only takes 2 hits from a melee weapon. 4 perks, Serpentine has once again been buffed and will reduce a single shot's damage by 25% while sprinting. Previously, you had a realistic chance of slowing your time to die by 1 shot when running from cover to cover. Now the best way to use this perk might be to run around like a chicken with its head chopped off while capturing domination flags. It only really works as an anti-surprise defense, and it's not like you can combine it with Gung Ho yet. Unit support is still not worthwhile. Fire team support now has a solid 70% chance of stealing streaks destroyed with launchers. This could be a strong perk to switch to for the last 2 minutes of a game when people start using their persistent streaks. So, what are my thoughts on these balance changes? Once again, there's no nerf for the USS-9. Other than that, it's nothing crazy, except for the Akimbo 1911s, which might be my secondary of choice from now on. It's also good to see the Crick again after being left behind for 2 years. I'd also like to give the AMAX with M67 another chance. The new weapon for Season 3 is the M1 Garand in the Marksman class, with all of its Vanguard cursedness. For attachments, I'm glad it's nothing as crazy as the rest of our Vanguard guns when it comes to altering fire rate. so that should be less of a headache for me. But that's not all. For Season 4, we'll get the Vargo 52 assault rifle from Cold War. For Season 5, we'll get the Ram 7 assault rifle from 2019. The Mythic Blueprint is expected to have aesthetics inspired by Starry Night, a famous painting by Dutch post-impressionist and tortured soul Vincent van Gogh. For Season 6, we'll get the VMP SMG from Black Ops 3 and 4. So, it's not all hand-me-downs from Warzone 1. The new streak this season will be the R.A.P.S from Black Ops 3, and it reminds me of that one scene from the Battleship movie. It's basically like a swarm, but on land like the K9s, and we don't have jetpacks by default. The first of two big news this season is the introduction of wildcards like most of the Black Ops games and Advanced Warfare. All of the following will be unlockable by grinding ranked. The first two aren't too crazy. Instead of using one tactical and one lethal, Bomber lets you use two different lethals, and Tactical Shift lets you use two different tacticals. Perk 1 Greed is more interesting as it allows you to use two different red perks, and it opens up some interesting combinations, like Restock and Tactician for endless stims to heal and speed boost, Lightweight and Skulker for max overall SMG movement, Flak Jacket and Dauntless to get near immunity to burn damage not from Dragon's Breath. Originally thought to be an abandoned perk, Overkill is now officially in this game as a wildcard. 2 primaries, 5 attachments each, and compatible with the amped perk. So sweats can YY to their heart's content now. I suppose the devs had enough of people complaining about melee weapons, and decided to give them something else to fear. The other big news is Ranked has finally gotten an overhaul. There will now be a division between lower and higher ranks into casual and elite playlists. The former has lower score limits. The latter will have restrictions on what's allowed and not. I don't know what the rule sets are just yet, and I doubt they'll do something about SVMM. You'll also now have the option to warm up with free-for-all matches. The most apparent change is the new lobby background after all these years. The new background has led to some speculation that it's based on the Compound DLC map from Advanced Warfare, but that remains unconfirmed. The settings UI has been updated, but if you don't like it, you can switch back and forth. The max player level has been increased once again to 400 for more dark matter and Cosmos blueprints. Previously leaked settings such as adjustable underbarrel appearances, left-handed mode, and video replay are now available. There's no longer projectile collision on teammates, so they can no longer get in the way of your grenades. But not all news is sunshine and rainbows. It wouldn't be COD Mobile without controversy regarding region-locked collabs again. This time over the anime Lycoris Recoil. Now, I like weird stuff. I like FPS. Do I like them together? Not necessarily, but I'm not gonna get in the way of others that do. Especially since this game lets you disable cosmetics, unlike the rest of the franchise. Would I say it's as egregious as the Alchemy Stars, which locked an entire game mode? No, but it's unfortunate that this keeps happening. I find it strange that a Japanese IP can't be enjoyed by Japanese players, because they too are part of the global player base. Activision is interested in making new games for mobile devices. But don't get your hopes up. These aren't actual Call of Duty games. Rather, they're using AI-generated ads that direct people to surveys to gauge interest in potential spin-offs with unrelated gameplay. Call of Duty was already in hot waters for using AI to generate calling card rewards. Zombies voice actors left over concerns of being replicated as part of the larger SAG-AFTRA strike. AI is still used to moderate voice chat, which not only got people banned when it couldn't understand context, but it also got them into lawsuits over privacy concerns. Now they can't even bother to commission someone to sketch concept art. Luckily, none of this affects us. COD Mobile gets a bad rep for being on mobile, but for all of its faults, it at least plays like what you'd expect from a last-gen Call of Duty game. If they weren't labeled Call of Duty, they would be indistinguishable from anything else in the App Store. It just makes me wonder, how much of Microsoft's money did Activision burn on Warzone Mobile to resort to this? This is a new low for the franchise. But hey, that's just my opinion. It may be soon to call this, but we might be experiencing a renaissance of some sort. There's a lot going on these days. We didn't have much going on between the 2nd and 5th anniversary. Going forward, the devs should prioritize balancing perks and attachments if they ever intend to add other wildcards like Perk Greed for green and blue, or Gunfighter for extra attachments. And that should be all for today. I'll try to get the M4 LMG video out before finals. My name is On, and I'm off.